So I have to write it down so that I remember it, because otherwise it just flushes right out of my brain as soon as I watch it. Only Murders in the Building is all the rage, I hear.
Only Murders in the Building is about 3 true crime enthusiasts who investigate a true crime and make a podcast about a true crime that was made up for the show.
Only Murders in the Building is funny and mysterious.
Only Murders in the Building had the largest opening for a comedy on Hulu ever.
Wow, interesting. Hey, everybody, welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. Let's introduce everybody.
You can thank us later.
Yeah. Michael and I are here. You know us. You love us. Half of us. Guess which half?
Yeah.
We'll never tell. Okay, you told. And we have very special guests today. Actress, writer, producer Laila Shaker is here. We also have actor extraordinaire. You know him from Glee or from funny Instagram stories, Josh Sussman.
Hello.
And other stuff.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, awesome. And Superstore. So anyway, we are doing Only Murders in the Building. As you may have guessed, if you'd like us to review a show, in the comments below, just type in WTF and whatever the show is that you'd like us to review. For example,
WTF, the new Fraggle Rock that just premiered on Apple today.
Oh, wow.
WTF Fraggle Rock, I guess, old or new.
WTF, the old Fraggle Rock.
I don't want to do it. Rock. But if you want to see me get tortured and poop on something and say how terrible it is, probably, then say WTF Fraggle Rock.
Well, the classic is an original. Let's find out about the new one.
The WTF, the Muppet Show, right?
That's no.
Ryan.
That WTF stands for Watch the First. Right now, Laila is on my side totally, because when we're mentioning these things, she's like, what is this crap? I've never heard of it.
I was happy I got one episode.
Me and you, Josh. We'll take him down.
Okay, yeah.
That's a challenge. All right. So let's have some fun. WTF and whatever it is in the comments below, and we will consider it strongly, probably, maybe. Let's have some fun. First things first, my favorite game.
I think some people requested this show, didn't they?
Yes.
You don't have that up, do you?
Yes, I do. In fact, it is, boy, oh boy, it was, our resident doctor out. Oh God, of course she likes this. It's in New York. She's in Manhattan. Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel. We are doing this one for you, if you can believe that.
Thank you, Dr. Anne-Marie, for the suggestion.
Oh, did you hear that? She said, you're welcome. Okay.
Oh, that was fast. She didn't waste any time.
Right. Speaking of wasting time, let's go ahead and move it along. Please be sure to give this video a like. Please subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends. Be like, you guys, they're reviewing my favorite show or whatever. And
but don't subscribe if you're already subscribed, because that will actually unsubscribe you. One time I was watching a video and they say, subscribe, hit the button. And if you're already subscribed, you're good.
Right. Which brings us to the other point. Don't like this video twice. That will help us.
You can like it 3 times.
Yeah.
Odd numbers are fine. Even numbers are bad.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's so true.
So the first game, and Josh gets very upset when we call these things a game, but that's why we're here, to crack eggshells. You can't make omelets without it. So Josh, our very first game, as you know, is, well, actually, Michael.
Predicaments. It's a name that Ryan came up with because we put ourselves in a predicament by making our predictions.
So predictions, that's not a game. I'm trying to live up to the hype and I don't get angry. I don't know why Ryan said that, but it's not a game.
Laila, let me tell you something. I didn't come up with this name, but it is a game. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
It is a predicament.
Anyway. Okay.
Right, Ryan always goes first with this one. I go first with everything else.
Yeah, because he's the brave one. Everybody knows. So Michael and I have known each other for a long time, so we're pretty good at this. Maybe. Here, let's find out. Michael,
Put yourself in a predicament, right?
Yeah. To be honest, throughout watching this episode, I couldn't help but put Mike laughs at this line. Mike laugh all the way down. I'm like, okay, this is Mike humor. This is Mike show. Mike likes this very much. In fact, as I was watching it, I was like, I wonder if Michael has already seen this, because this seems like a show that Michael will like very much. And had he not seen it, he would be very happy to have seen it now and cannot wait to watch the rest. And that's what I feel about it. This is a Mike show through and through. I think he likes Steve Martin because everybody does, basically. I'm assuming he likes Martin Short because he seems right up his alley. This is Mike written all over it. Laila, I think you liked it less than Mike. I think you are slightly better than average on it. You know, you're like, it was okay. It was fine. It was cool. Josh, I think you also liked it very much, but slightly less than Michael. Actually, you know what, Laila, you liked it a little bit more than I predicted because you said it was funny initially. You said it was funny. So you're around the seven-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is between Laila and Michael, right around the 8-ish range. But that's what I think. What do you think, Michael?
I think I first of all, Ryan kind of gave himself away by saying it's a Mike show because he hates things that I like. I mean, anytime I try to show him anything that's comedy at all, he immediately goes into it with a sourpuss face. And he's like, what the heck is this? What, Mike's trying to show me a show? What is this stupid show? Where's a stupid movie that he's going to force my eyes open to watch the stupid show that I'm going to hate?
Your impressions of me are spot on. I swear. That's perfect.
Ryan, I think, did not care for this show. I don't think he thought any of the jokes were funny. And I think that he thought that the premise was dumb. Laila did give herself away, so she does like it. Josh kind of gave himself away too, thanking Anne-Marie Siegel for requesting the show.
Manners. No, that's just manners.
But I also know that Josh is friends with Selena Gomez, so he may have already seen the show just because she is in it, and maybe she said, "Dude, you got to check out the show. I'm in it. It's going to be great." And so I think that Josh is high on this show as well.
The thinking, Dr. Anne-Marie, that's just manners, polite to your viewers. You know, that would honestly, that doesn't give any, don't look into that. I would, even if it was, whether it's garbage or great, I'm still considerate.
What do you think, Laila?
Well, I'm going to go with Mike loved this show a lot. And then I think Ryan, you
copying off of Ryan's work
show. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, he knows you love it. And then I think Ryan, you enjoyed this show though, maybe more than you expected to. I think you did. And then Josh, I don't know you at all, but I think you
who does?
I know, I don't know, but I feel like I think you enjoyed this. I think you enjoyed yourself while you were watching it.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna go with.
All right. We'll find out. Well, so I agree with everyone that Mike had a great time and that Mike has seen this before. And Mike was excited to revisit this New York show that he enjoyed. Now, Mike, you thought Ryan isn't gonna like it, but there's a clue that I picked up on. Ryan said everyone loves Steve Martin. So we know that Ryan loves at least 1/3. These are his words. Everyone, he didn't say everyone but me, so everyone loves Steve Martin. So there's a
like a detective. The way he lowers his voice and
Brazos. So yes, I think Ryan, so there's at least 1/3. There's some fun writing, there's fun stuff, and I think that it's not your favorite. It's not Star Trek Discovery, but I think Ryan, I think you liked it. I think you're gonna be above a 5, which means that was fun. That was fun. You're not gonna be quite at an 8. You're gonna rise between a 5 and an 8, and I'll narrow it down as we go on. Laila,
Okay,
you
Columbo.
gave yourself away.
I know I did. I did.
And that's fine. And no one judges you for that. But I'm gonna think you give it a strong 8.5. And that's possible you've even already seen this before. But I guess that will be revealed in time.
Did you say Michael yet?
Yes. Yeah, that was the beginning. That was obvious. Everyone is there.
Oh yeah, you just kind of
that huge fan. He's already watched it.
Right.
By the way,
the way Michael was like bitterly saying, Ryan won't think it's funny. That just further strengthens that I think he liked it, because he's like upset that I don't like it's hurting his feelings. The thought that anybody could not like the show with these comic legends, Mike is fighting mad right now.
We're gonna let the fight begin. Ding ding.
Just a ding is a prelude to a part of this show a little later. But right now, it is time for everybody to put in your predictions, your predicaments, as Kenyon would say. So you've gotten a lot of hints. What do you think? Did I like it? Laila, Mike, Josh, let us know in the comments below or in the live chat. While you're typing all that in and why and how you came up to it, Michael is going to tell us what this show is even about.
3 strangers who share an obsession with true crime suddenly find themselves caught up in one. In this episode, Upper West Side neighbors Charles, Oliver, and Mabel bond over a shared love of true crime. When a fellow resident dies in their building, the trio determine to solve the mystery and record an accompanying podcast.
Wow.
It's always interesting to hear what it really does give a lot away.
That was my true crime podcast voice.
It's very nice.
You could host a podcast with that voice. Or I guess you are.
I do host a podcast.
He kind of does that.
But like a true crime. That was sexy. Also.
I don't know. Prove it, Mike. You do
Show
a
me your
podcast.
podcast skills.
Okay. So now it's time for a game. Josh, it is a game. What we expected versus what we got. We compare and contrast what we expected versus what we actually got. Right, Michael?
And this is a game show that Ryan has named Expectations. It's the crossroads between what we expected versus what we got. The intersection.
Nope. Laila and Josh are both displeased with what they're both just not into it. However, it's still time to play anyway. So Michael, before you watched this first episode, what did you expect?
Honestly, I had heard before I had seen anything about the show, I had heard a lot about it. I heard people raving about it. I heard that it was going to be a great show. As Ryan mentioned, it has the incomparable Steve Martin. It has the indefatigable Martin Short. And it also has Selena Gomez. I mean, she's good. I really liked her in what was that Jim Jarmusch zombie movie? I forget what it was called, but she was in that. I also follow her on Instagram because she, like myself, is a kidney transplant recipient. So
cool.
We have that in common. So just because of the talents and because of everything I've heard about the show, I thought it was going to be really good.
Laila, before you watched this first episode, what did you expect, if anything?
With knowing Martin Short and Steve Martin were going to be in it, I did expect it to be good and to be funny. And honestly, I didn't really know much else about it. Like I've seen like the billboards and stuff were all over, but I really didn't know much else. So I just kind of was like, okay, I'm not really, I feel like I'm curious. I don't really know, but I know it's going to be funny because those two are in it. So yeah.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, when I first heard about it and that cast, I was excited. I was thinking, okay, that'll be fun to see them all together. It's so fun to watch a show when you don't know what it's about. So I didn't read any plot descriptions. I mean, you could tell by the title. I mean, anything with the word murder in it. But with all of them, I'm expecting a comedy. So what I'm expecting is like a fun murder comedy, and I'm not expecting something gruesome or like a Hannibal Lecter type show. I was expecting, yeah, horror comedy, maybe fun.
Well, I'll tell you what I expected. Not too much. All I had heard about this show is that it existed. You know, it was like, hey, there's this show that's all the rage, and there's Martin Short and the other Martin in it of the Steve variety. That's all
Martins,
I knew.
Yeah.
I assumed it was a comedy because I can't imagine those two would get together and not do a comedy. That's all I knew. Nothing really. But Michael, and I knew it was 33 minutes, so I was like, I'm on board.
That's all it takes Ryan to get to watch the first episode of a show.
33 minutes, okay, but I'm watching.
Pushing it.
Yeah, really.
I like 23 minutes better, but
or
what I would have loved
15 minutes like Star Wars Visions. But Josh,
I was hoping they would in the credits when it's Steve Martin and then dissolve, get rid of the Steve, and then add the short and make it like a Steve Martin short. They could do something clever with the names.
In French, they would say il hat la coche, right? They really missed out on that one. Anyway, Michael, what did you actually
got picked up for
get,
season 2? So if you're listening, Steve Martin short, I think you've got some opportunities there.
Right. What do you think, Mike?
Maybe contractually SAG. I don't know if they're not allowed to, but no, if it's equal time, so the Martin will be there. I don't know how it works.
It works just like that. But Michael, what did you actually get, by the way?
What I actually got, I got a show that started off kind of funny, but quickly got very lame. Very lame. I did not care for it. I guess for me, what I think is that I am not a true crime guy. I don't care about true crime at all. And so maybe if you're into true crime, then this show would delight you. But I don't care about true crime at all. Not at all. I don't care about it. Not one lick. And
so how much do you care about true crime?
Not one lick.
I'm just make sure.
Well, not a lick, but
that's too much right there. That's way too much.
Ryan, I saw your lead here on Mike.
Yeah, Ryan really put himself into a predicament, didn't he?
Well, there's somebody in the chat right now that is going, see, I knew it.
Yeah. And the humor
you're right
was not enough for me to cover up the stupidness of the true crime stuff. So
okay. So we're starting to get some hints that Michael may have liked it less than we expected. Stick around to find out, how he really felt. Is that 9 drop into an 8? We'll find out. Laila, how did you actually feel about this? What did you actually get when you did watch it?
Yeah, so same as Mike, where in the beginning I was like, okay, this is like kind of fun, like comedy type thing, which I really enjoyed. But it was the same, like as the show went on, I was like, oh, I didn't go like, oh, this is lame by any means, but I did start to think, oh, this is a little heavier than what I was expecting. I mean, obviously there's murders in the title, but I thought it would be a little bit lighter just because there's the murders, like as it goes on, there's the murder, obviously, but then you find out things about each character.
Or was it a murder?
More dramatic and darker than what I was expecting. But that didn't really deter me from it. I still really enjoyed it.
What about you, Josh? What did you actually get, though?
He's got so many omelets that looked really good, just being thrown in the trash, and that was hard to watch.
He was
I
murdering
love food,
omelets.
and I was also paying attention a lot to the food. When they were in the restaurant, at one point, no one is eating. There's all the food. And I also watch things as an actor where when I'm in scenes and there's food, sometimes I notice, oh, I'm eating. This is delicious. And I've been at tables on sets with very seasoned actors, and I notice they don't eat or they're just moving around their fork. So it's very interesting to see these three guys not even touching their food. But as far as for what I got, that's just aside. That's not. I'm also not really a true crime guy, and knowing that it doesn't seem like any of us are, it seemed a little far-fetched that all three of these people of varying ages, I mean, the two guys are the same, that they're into the same exact podcast, that she's into this. I don't know. I don't know anyone who's that involved or so that was a little bit. And yeah, I'm not into the true crime stuff, but it's fun. And they set up some mysteries, which I'm curious to see what's going to happen. And there was like at the end, I don't think that was Supernatural's kind of stuff where there was like floating.
Oh, right.
Unique storytelling with it. It went over my head.
Right.
What was that? And then we find out why he wasted the omelets. But like, I wonder if after they called cut, if the omelets were fed to animals or if.
Well, I didn't understand why he wasted the omelets.
Oh, because
well, we'll have to get into that a little bit later, I
Yeah.
think, because I'm not quite sure yet either.
I know they said it was clear that
the smell reminded
him of his ex who left or moved
Oh.
a while
But then
ago.
he could still eat it,
Right.
you know.
But maybe it's like, oh, I used to make these for her, and
exactly.
I miss her, and I can't even share this with her.
Yeah, I mean that's basically
Ryan and Mike, how do
the
you miss?
connection. Well, we got the connection
Josh
that's
and
why
Laila,
he
we
was
just
doing
met,
it, but I
buddy.
don't know why he's throwing it away.
Right.
You know. Anyway, doesn't matter. We could talk about that a bit more because I got to tell you what I expected, and I've been just
what you got.
What I got. I've been yearning to tell you guys what I got. Lovin' is what I got, says Sublime. Here we go.
Was Sublime in the chat?
Yeah, it was fine. It was Michael, I definitely saw some humor in there that I thought you would like. I didn't know that you were so hardcore prejudiced against anything related to true crime, because I don't really care about true crime stuff, but I was like, it didn't bother me. It didn't take me out of it. I don't care. It could be about sailing. I don't sail, but like, I'm not really watching it for the sailing, but probably if somebody is into true crime, then they're even more into this kind of show. I thought it was, a little more enjoyable than maybe I expected. I didn't know Selena Gomez was in it. I just saw her name in the thing at the very beginning. I was like, oh, Selena Gomez is in this. I guess she must be the only girl in the show. I guess that must be her. So it was fine. And we can talk a bit more about it. But like what Laila was saying, I think it's very detailed and interesting writing, the way that they are creating mysteries with all three characters. The murder in the podcast is really just an excuse for us to delve into the mysteries of the main characters themselves, and maybe more characters as the season progresses and different seasons progress. But anyway, we could talk a bit more about that, but let's finish up on what Josh was saying. He was shaming us for saying, well, yeah, we get why he was making the omelets because they like the smell, but why throw it away? Is it just because he's like, I just want the smell? It doesn't mean I need to eat it every day.
Well, he did eat an egg at the end.
Right.
So
Yeah,
maybe he just doesn't want the cholesterol.
He just couldn't go through with it. It was too painful.
Yeah. I feel like he's not an omelet person. He's just like the fried egg person, but the omelet reminded him of this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of this trope that so many shows and movies do, where they begin and some intense scene and then it cuts to 2 months earlier, which is where we are now? Like, I wonder if they do that.
It's a convention. It's a convention in Latin that's called en medias res, which means in the midst of things. So you basically start the story in the middle, and then you go back to how it began.
Yeah.
Is that to hook us in? Because they'll be
Yes.
like, wait, they're going to want to see how they wind up in this situation.
Yeah, I think it's very important personally. Like if this is not an existing franchise, if it's a book or a game that people already love and they're putting it on screen, then they can be as slow and as patient as they want to be because they have a built-in audience. They know that that audience is going to stick with them. But if it's something brand new, they need to hook you right away. They need to let you know, hang on, we're building towards something bigger. And then it also makes the audience go, how does this connect with that? How did it, it's a spoiler. And a lot of times we'd rather they wouldn't have it, or at least I'd rather they don't do that. But it's kind of like a cheap trick, a way to be like, to like grab the audience right away. Yeah. Right.
But to Josh's point,
spoilery.
But to Josh's point, where they're like, like the omelet, the pan with the egg falls to the ground and comes back up. I think that was a callback to when Martin Short was watching that thing on PBS where the guy's like walking up the stairs and then falls down and then comes back up.
Yeah.
And the girl did it with the ring too.
The ring,
right?
and
The
Martin
ring, and
then Martin Short fell off the stairs.
So I think they were all happened to them at the same time, and that was kind of like them all kind of experiencing that feeling of not being able to move forward or something.
See, what I thought it was, and maybe I'm way off on this, which I usually am, I thought it was just symbolic and obviously an impossible real life thing to happen, but it was symbolic of them changing the trajectory of their lives. Like this thing is now going to knock them. It's like a rebound, like he's always throwing away the omelet. He's always doing this, but this one day life is different and life is going to take a different path and it bounces back up and he goes in a different direction. And that's kind of, or like the girl, she drops the ring and she puts it on. I just felt like it was symbolic of them kind of doing a 180 in their lives, like a do-over or a new turning point or something like that.
I disagree because Martin Short, when he first watched that PBS special, this PBS when with the Claire de Lune and the guy's falling off, he says that it's like symbolic of that guy not being able to move forward. And so like Martin Short is not able to move forward with his life. He's not able to get a job that pays him money, and he's got to go back to his son and try to borrow money from his son. Similarly, Steve Martin, he can't get over his wife leaving or their death. I don't remember which one it was, but so that's kind of like why he does the egg things. Now that I understand that more, that makes more sense to that too.
But the egg
and the same thing with Selena Gomez, she probably has something that we don't know about yet that she's not able to get over as well.
Right, but the egg thing, when it bounced back up, it came back up as not an omelet but a fried egg.
No, because it was a fried egg when he dropped it too.
Yeah, but no, see, I think it is like total symbolism as well, because I at least what I got from the PBS thing was like this man on the staircase is constantly trying to get to the top, but I was thinking more of like life in general is kind of knocking you over and then you have to kind of get back up and still get to the top. So I kind of thought of it more as like these guys have been knocked over and this is them kind of getting back up to have motivation to keep going up these.
So we each have a different interpretation, which is the great thing.
Josh is the judge. Here we go, right?
Right. Yes.
Oh no, I couldn't figure that out. I don't know. I was actually thinking about the next
you guys.
thing
I drifted off 5 minutes ago.
I started thinking about authority and about like Tim Kono. Like they declared it a suicide, and there's reasons to think it's a murder. But then this policewoman or detective, she's saying, "Oh, you lunatics listening to a true crime podcast." Right. But obviously they're showing evidence on why we think it is a murder. So is it against the police and don't trust the police? Like usually if there's someone who's an expert character or an authoritative character, we would trust them. And she's very definitively telling us, no, you guys are listening to a podcast. But I think, is she just wrong? Is she bad at her job? Is that what the show is saying?
Well, I don't know. In New York, I don't know what the crime rate's there, but it might be they just have so many murders to deal with that they just have to kind of make a decision and move on.
Because it didn't even seem like she was lazy and just bad at her job. It seemed like she was quite good at her job and quite confident. But I did love the characters.
Just made it look so much like a murder that or suicide that she bought it.
I do love seeing them figure out things like, wait, he went into the elevator with a garbage bag, and that's fun to realize he could have just thrown it out. Why would he take it out? And like looking through the trash, there is kind of things that you could like see them using their brain, and there are the clues if we go back and we're able to watch it. It's not like they just get an idea, like, let's just look in the trash. It's all explained. But I don't know. And now I'm thinking about that ending with Selena and that picture with Tim Kono. Oh, but they didn't talk in the elevator.
Was that the same guy in the picture that was that?
Yep.
Okay.
That killed himself or was murdered in the building.
He was one of her Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
One of her packs that she made.
See, that's a very interesting twist, right?
But they did not talk in the elevator. I mean, she had her Beats headphones on. So maybe he got in. There was no words exchanged. Well, he was on the phone, so maybe they could have talked. But she didn't seem interested in talking to him. Were they ex-lovers?
She killed him. I don't know.
Well, we did that flashback. I mean, she had blood on her over a body, and she said it's not what it looks like. Can we trust her though?
Laila, it seems like Michael and Josh are very low on this show. What can you convince them otherwise? What was fun about it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I just enjoy watching Steve Martin and Martin Short, like just in general. But I guess I mean, just looking at it as kind of, I guess I didn't go into it, and I don't know necessarily if Josh went into this as well, but like I didn't go into it going like this has to be, you know, a killer comedy show. I was kind of open to like what happened and the amount of comedy in it. I mean, I do think it was there was like a lot of subtle comedy within the lines, which I enjoy. Like that's something I wrote down was like, it doesn't give you a second to like process the funny thing they just said. They just move on to the next thing, but I enjoy that. But I was just thinking of it more as storytelling from that point of view. I thought it was interesting. I thought the characters were interesting. And personally, I'm not a big murder podcast either. Like I'm not into that as either, but I thought, especially with this detective and the way she was talking about it, I thought the show almost kind of was poking fun at people that really are, you know, because the detectives, like all these like true crime podcast people think, you know, they're geniuses or whatever. But so I kind of thought they were kind of poking fun at like.
I did enjoy that scene. I thought that was one of the funny scenes that I was talking about.
But, so maybe I just didn't have such a strong like idea, I guess, in the first place. So I couldn't really be disappointed.
Michael, so at the beginning, I made a fool of myself saying that I saw a lot of moments that I was like, oh, Mike laughed at this. And feeling so French and so smug, I was like, oh, this is something my friend Michael would laugh at.
That's Ryan, French and smug.
Yeah, very snob. I'm like, oh. So I'd like to go over a couple of those, and you tell me if you did in fact laugh or if I'm just a little too full of my own, you know. So one was je ne sais quoi. Oh, the quoi. The depressing dude at the beginning who was talking about his dad. And he said, okay. And he said, he just won't let go. Honestly, it would be a whole lot better if he would. I put Mike laugh. Right?
Yes.
Okay. See? And then another moment when Martin Short's character is being introduced and the car slams on the brakes and he says, really? Do you not see this coat?
That was all right. But I mean,
why would the coat? What does the coat have to do with it?
Well, it was a big,
like
flashy purple coat.
Yeah.
But back to the depressing guy in the beginning, there was a few good lines.
Mm-hmm.
He asked him, or Steve Martin says, oh, you want a picture? And he says, oh yeah, thanks. And he hands him the camera. Take a picture of him and his girlfriend.
But don't you think he would be?
And he says, tell him Brazos took it.
Right,
self-aware enough. The fact that
was the funniest part. He like, tell him Brazos took it. He's like, he wouldn't understand.
Right. What were you saying, Josh?
No, but don't you think he would be self-aware enough? The fact that he recognized him as a celebrity, that he knew that when he's offering a photo, you think he'd be a little bit more aware than to be like, yeah, here. Like,
Well, he
I
seemed
don't
kind
know.
of out of it too because of his dad. So
Yeah.
that didn't really take me out of it.
You know what?
I've been in situations like that.
I'm not going to name names, but those of you that were here know this story. A few months ago, I was at a big event and we were having a big lunch, and a celebrity walked up, and we were kind of trying to have our own group lunch. There were a good dozen of us or something, and this celebrity came up and really wanted to be a part of this lunch. But I was like, hey, this is actually just specifically for this group. Sorry, we can do lunch, tomorrow or whatever. But he really wanted to be part of it. So he comes back anyway and kind of tries, imposing himself a little bit, and, introduces himself to let people know that how important he is. And somebody says, oh, that, awesome, great. You mind, taking a picture? And he says, oh, of course, I'm ready. And the dude hands him the picture and does that exact same thing for him to take a picture of all of us. And it was just, I'm a laugher. I had a hearty laugh.
I
How
can
did he
imagine the
react?
laugh
Was
that
he-
you had at
So that does happen in real life. That is a real thing.
Who was the celebrity?
I'm not gonna say,
He'll
but there
tell
are
us when
some
the
people
podcast is
probably
over.
in the chat that know who this was. It was in August. Anyway,
And
so
it was the person who said, "Can you get a picture?" Were they doing that on purpose
no,
because they thought the guy was being obnoxious, trying to
no.
put himself in?
It wouldn't have
Okay,
been
that's
funny
what
if
I
it was
thought.
it would not have been funny if it was just mean spirited. It was funny because it was
Yeah.
honest. He was just like, oh, can you take a picture of us, please? Anyway, in fact,
Because it was after he revealed who he was.
the person that said this may or may not have been a guest on this show. That's all I'm saying. The one that asked for the picture, not the one that got. Anyway, so those were the big
I'm
laughs.
just thinking, I wasn't invited to this brunch.
There was a big, you were not at the event. There was a big laugh for me that I hope Michael also laughed at. And
Okay.
and Josh alluded to it earlier. Ding. That was when Steve Martin and Martin Short were first on the elevator together. And Martin Short's just yammering on, and the doors open, and he keeps talking, and Steve Martin goes, ding.
Yeah, that was all right.
That was funny as hell, and you know it.
I thought it was funny.
Thank you, Laila. See, Laila gets humor. I'm disappointed in you guys.
It's pretty
Laila,
funny.
can you let them know why that was funny, please?
Oh, I get why you think it was funny.
Like, I understand. I just don't like it. No, I thought it was funny.
I laughed
also
out
like
loud.
I also like the part where Steve Martin's talking about how he has to audition for this part, and they're casting someone to play Brazos, and they want me to audition for that part. I thought that was funny.
See, now that's funny.
I thought that was funny.
Was
And
it?
it's like I need to realize he's offer only. I wonder when he could be offer only. That sounds
Also,
nice.
a cute little quip was when they said, oh, we knew him just in passing, not his passing.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, that was good stuff. That was good dialogue.
I
mean, some of the dialogue even feels Tina Fey-ish, who's the host of the podcast.
Right.
Notice that.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, Josh, what do you think was the funniest moment in this episode?
Oh, that's a tough question. I should have. I wish I took notes. The funniest.
You can choose one of the ones we talked about already.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean some ding? I
Lila's
could do
checking
better
her
than
notes
that.
right now. She's prepared.
Yeah. Let's come back to me.
Okay.
Funniest.
Laila, what do you think was the funniest moment?
I did. Well, I mean, I liked a lot of those moments you had already mentioned, like when he asked them to take the picture. I thought that was really funny. And then I really did get a good chuckle out of that what I just mentioned about like him auditioning for someone that looks just like him. I like that a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
The photo that was funny. So it's not like laugh out loud for me, like a joke, but it's just the awkwardness. Like the awkwardness of it's like, oh, it was my dad, and it's yeah, and just how people are. So sometimes, like I've been in situations where some of that you witness that happen living in LA, and you kind of see those things kind of happen, and it's like, yeah, that's I'm just thinking there's more sad things than funny, like death and omelets being wasted.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, just in the situations when you have to pay the bill when they're out to eat, and Martin Short tells Selena,
Yeah.
"Oh, don't worry about it," and then he just passes it off to Steve Martin, and I wonder,
Right.
Steve Martin's not working? How does he afford it?
They should have let her get it.
Yeah.
I wonder,
So
what did they get? I wish they showed them order the food. I wonder, like, I was thinking, how do they all wind up in the same restaurant, and then they all listen to the same podcast? That seems a little forced. But then it's a TV show, so you have to have.
Mhm.
Like, I
think
was
the
thinking,
the extreme of it is fine. I mean, I think they're just kind of being silly. I don't mind the coincidences.
but then I was thinking, would she really, like a girl her age, go into that place where it seemed like it was a much older crowd and more expensive, like fine dining establishment? What are the odds?
She had to go somewhere.
Or maybe
True,
there's
and it's right
something
across
to
from
it.
Arconia.
Maybe she's
Yeah.
trying to scam them. Maybe there's a bigger mystery. Maybe she keeps meaning to bump into them on purpose. But Michael, what was the
Maybe she
funniest
likes to
moment
eat there
for
all
you?
the time anyway.
Right?
Well, I already said that the funniest moment for me was after he says, "Oh, tell him Brazos took that picture," and he's like, he wouldn't understand. Just the subtlety of that line just
Yeah.
killed me. I mean, that to me was like, I was like, all right, cool, we're gonna get some good comedy in this show, and then but yeah, that to me was like, that was the pinnacle of humor for that episode.
You didn't even laugh a small chuckle when what's his name? Oliver or something?
Mhm.
Is that his name? Oliver Martin Short?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says he's introducing himself or something, and he says, "Well, directing is my day job. I'm sure you're aware." That was also funny.
I went like this. Oh,
He
Okay.
was reading the podcast and Martin Short was directing him.
This is going to be very interesting in a few minutes when we start rating this and saying if we would watch the second. I think that's when the claws are coming out. Me and Laila are going to teach you guys why you are wrong. But until then,
Wait, hold on, Ryan. You alluded to the fact, or told Laila, that it seems that me and Mike were down on it. What did I say that indicated that I was down on it? I mean,
well, every time I say, what was your favorite, what was the funniest moment? And you're like, this was,
no, but the thing is it's not really a comedy. I mean, there's some comedic elements to this show,
Yeah.
but really this show at its heart is a crime drama.
I think it's
I
a
like
comedy.
the score a lot. This
Mhm.
has a nice score,
3-0.
which we
Yeah.
heard Selena Gomez humming towards the end. And she was vocalizing. I like that.
Right. Well, speaking of
She's a professional
vocalizing,
singer, you know.
well, Josh, tell us more about that, but skew it towards talking about yourself, because now we're going to discuss you and your infinite career. Apparently, you know Selena Gomez. You've been in Mr. Mayor. You were in
Yeah.
Superstore. You were in Glee. A whole
Wizards
bunch of
of
other.
Waverly Place.
You were in
With
LA
Josh
Fitness.
Sussman and Selena Gomez, obviously,
were
Ryan.
In the
Mhm.
Cheesecake Factory. You were in Erewhon. What?
You were there with me at Cheesecake Factory. We did that together.
And we'll
Don't
do it
act
again.
like you're not involved.
When does that come out? I want to see it.
What's new with you,
Um,
Josh? What's going on?
Well, it began when I was on Wizards of Waverly Place. That's not where it began, but I did that with a 14-year-old Selena. She was 14 at the time when we did it. I was older, but I was playing the same age as her. I remember when I was in my early 20s, and when I auditioned for Wizards of Waverly Place, in the breakdown it said 13 to 15. So I Googled the people on the show, and I saw this 14-year-old girl, Selena Gomez. And I was like, I'm supposed to be the same age as her? I don't know. But somehow I got the job, and we filmed the first season before it ever aired, which is so fun. And it's fun getting to meet people, you know, before they're famous, and also see, like on Glee, I did the same thing where you film it all before it airs. And then after it becomes a big hit, you see how people deal with success. And some people remain great. Some people could get egos. And I have to say about Selena Gomez, she was always throughout the whole 4 seasons and becoming a huge star. She's always remained super sweet and very kind. Whenever people ask who some of the nicest celebrities are that you've worked with, it's always an easy answer: Selena Gomez.
I always love to hear that about people.
Yeah, and she was great on Wizards, and so I was excited about seeing her and be on a TV series or in a comedy again. Or I know you mentioned the zombie movie, but none of her movies
only
really.
The Dead, or was it The Dead Don't Die? I looked it up.
But none of her movies I have performed well or haven't really showcased her, and she is really fun as an actress. So I was happy to. It's always fun also watching shows and seeing people that and and 1 week as an actor I got to be on Glee and Wizards of Waverly Place in the same week, which is the best as an actor. Where on Glee I was doing all creepy stuff and then being on Disney Channel the next day. So that was cool. But yeah, most recently is Mr. Mayor, which I think the new season starts in March.
Oh boy.
I briefly popped up in their holiday special, but here I'll be on a couple of them. Just little small part, but it's exciting to be, there with Ted Danson and Bobby Moynihan, and Holly Hunter, and Val Lovell. It's a good group of people. And in the meantime, I visit supermarkets. I'm trying to buy healthy food and stay healthy, and I want to be lean like Ryan, or healthy and muscular like Ryan.
Why did you stop? He's like, it's like he was like, I want to be lean like. Actually, he's not.
No. Well, because as in my mind, I was like, "Ooh, is lean?" Some people are insulted by that. It's like, I'm not. I have all this muscle, and so in case lean was an insult to you,
Ryan has worked very hard to build that muscle. He was a skinny little twerp when I've always been. But Ryan was like a little tiny little twig guy when I first met him, but he's worked hard. He's put on a bunch of muscles.
Very twiggy and made 70% of wood. I'm actually looking right now to try to see when we did Mr. Mayor, because we've actually done Mr. Mayor on this show. Oh, there it is. Episode 64, everybody. So check that out. Anyway, please continue about my twiggy arms. No, about yourself.
Oh, I think last time I was on the show when we did Rick and Morty, I spoke about just some emails I was exchanging that it turned out it was a scam. Just to update anyone who was listening to that, there was a whole thing with a Nigerian prince. It was, and
didn't work out. It didn't work out.
I didn't even want to talk about it because you're asking about me. It was. It looks like it was a scam. There's nothing I could do about it. I will not be able to get my money back.
But he's a prince.
It's just a lesson learned. But onward and upwards.
Are you sure? Because most Nigerian princes wouldn't just email you out of nowhere to offer you money. So
that's what I was thinking. I know, but it was not legitimate.
That's why it's a scam, Ryan.
And after, I don't think I should have even told this story, because after I told it on your podcast, I got a slew of message DMs, which I think people thought he's not the sharpest.
Don't do it, Josh. Don't do it.
Man.
No, not people telling me don't do it. I got DMs of people trying to make me offers.
If only I were there on that episode, I could have told you that was. I've heard of that scam before, actually. So I could have told you that was a scam if I were here.
So that was episode 90. Everybody, check that out. The joke is kind of ruined for you there because we've re-mentioned it. But if you want to see Rick and Morty, that is WTF number 90. Check that out. That was
what number are we now?
This is, well, we'll get into that a little later. This is right around 100, right in the give or take 100 realm. But
what a special region.
But the sad news is the reason we don't have time to talk about that is because we have to move forward all the way to the bottom line.
Do you have any other personal questions for me first before, or am I done?
Yes, we've got some questions for you. 2 questions. In fact, they are the terrible twos, the final 2 questions of the show. Question number 1 is, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Only Murders in the Building, entitled, what was the first episode called? True Crime.
True Crime.
Oh, I was wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, you that was a great guess, because
Thank you.
99 times out of 10, it is pilot, but this particular episode, they chose to go with a different direction.
I guess pilot because things really took off. Like a plane.
So it's no surprise to you that I did not care much for this show. I did like Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. I thought they all did a great job. We even had a little Abed sighting at the end. Abed from Community, the actor who, I don't know his name, but the actor who played Abed on Community met up with Steve Martin in the hall, and I was like, oh man, I love the smell of those omelets. So I like him a lot, and so if hopefully we get to see more of him in this show. But because I didn't care at all for the true crime stuff, it's not that I hated it because it was true crime. I just don't care about true crime at all, and so it's not the kind of thing that's going to be like, oh man, I got to see more of this show. But we'll get into that question later. But for my score of 1 to 10, I'm giving this one, for the cast members that I mentioned, 3.5. So you got 3 for the main cast members and a 0.5 for the Abed sighting.
Wow.
3.5 out of 10.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm marking this down as an 8. Got it. Okay. So, Laila, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode?
I would say overall, just as a television show, a good television show, I think I would give it a 7.5 or 8.
Which one?
Yeah.
8. A 7.5 or 8?
I'm gonna say 7.5. A strong 7.5.
Oh.
You could go 7.7.
Yeah, let's do that.
You can go 7.55.
Yeah, let's do 7.7.
All right. 7.7. What a deal. Josh, scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
I was surprised that you thought I seemed pretty down on it, because overall it worked and it kept my interest. So even if it's not joke, laugh out loud funny, and even if I can't pick a favorite funny part, I'm going to give it I'm going with a 7.95.
Wow.
Yeah.
Josh always likes to throw us for a loop. He's a trickster. He's a
Yeah,
trickster.
I didn't see that coming.
You didn't see that coming?
I didn't see it coming.
I wasn't trying to trick anyone.
Only towards the end, when you seemed a little surprised that I was saying you were down on it. You're like, hey, whoa. Nobody said I was.
I just call it as I see it.
Well, I'll tell you, on a scale of 1 to 10, I feel like this is a 7 for me. It was enjoyable. I don't really care about the true crime stuff, but I didn't really feel like that was what the show was about to me. Like, that's just the vessel, to me. It's kind of like Cheers isn't a show about a bar. It's just about the people in the bar,
Beautifully said.
So I'm sure thanks, John. I'm sure if I liked true crime stuff, I would probably like this more, or be more interesting, or I'd be like, oh my God, that's totally me, or whatever. But just as a show on the surface, I was like, yeah, this is fine. This is enjoyable. I kind of had the opposite trajectory of Mike, where the first few seconds, I was like typing feverishly. I'm like, oh my God, they're giving us so much information. What are their names? Where is this? New York, I guess. I'm trying to figure. And I'm like, this show is going to be too much for me. It's going to have all this information. It's not going to be interesting. But then, of course, it slowed down. It made a few jokes. I relaxed. I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a 7.
Wait, I'm going to pause just for a second.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Josh, go ahead.
I want to ask, when you say you're feverishly writing, how do you watch a show? Like, I'm curious, when you're watching a show for the first time and Like, what kind of notes are you taking that you're feverishly writing?
Okay, well, I'll tell you.
Are you
First,
doing it as a viewer or a reporter?
I'll give you the first 3 lines of my notes. SWAT team busting in hotel room. Martin and Martin running downstairs. Halls. Girl, it's not what you think. 2 months earlier. Okay, so see
Now,
that.
why do you write that down? Are you writing that down
To remember it, so that way when we're talking about the show, I go, oh yeah, this happened or that happened, or when you guys bring up a good point, I can look back and be like, did I even catch that? It just.
Are you pausing and then writing? Like, are you constantly pausing to take your notes?
Sometimes, yes.
Because that's not really
at the beginning, yes.
That's not really an organic way to watch a show where you just watch and let it take. I feel like I don't know. I know we're discussing it for the purpose of this podcast, but I feel like that's not like if you watch a movie, if you're watching, I don't know, whatever movie you are in theaters and just take, that's not the best way to absorb, but it's interesting and I'm glad to learn. And then I'm wondering, should I be doing that? Should I be taking notes? And I want to learn from you, Ryan.
And I think, well, we'll do lunch and I'll teach you all that I know, but mostly I just do it because I don't really care about stuff. And so I have to write it down so that I remember it, because otherwise it just flushes right out of my brain as soon as I watch it. And so this way I have, visual cues. Sorry, Laila, it's not always like this. Usually it's fun. But she's like, why are we talking about note taking?
You don't think that's interesting?
No, I'm learning as well. Okay. I mean, I know I only take notes when I know I'm gonna do this with you guys. I don't generally. Otherwise.
Right. Otherwise, nobody does it unless they're actually going to review it, because we want to give it a fair shake. Because what if we do 2 or 3 in one day, which we do, Michael and I?
Right.
We need to make sure to have our thoughts out. And sometimes I put the exact number of what I'm going to give it ahead of time. And sometimes I go, you know what? I don't know. I need to sit a little while longer. I need to talk it out and think it out. In this episode, I kind of did need to talk it out and think it out, but it's still about a 7, which is what I was thinking when I watched it. But more on that later, Josh, when we're not recording.
Audience, you found that interesting, right? You were wondering the same thing when he talked about feverishly.
Josh just loves to pick apart our show. That's not a game. If you say something's a 4, that means you don't like it. You can't just take notes while you're watching a show.
Which is actually very interesting. I'm learning. No, I love
the show. I love
and
the
Josh,
show.
I want you to know the only reason we're rushing this is not because this isn't fun and we're not interested in sharing and collecting ideas and all this stuff. It's really fun. And I love hearing the way your mind works. But it's just because we're on time constraints. So we're like, we're like in 2 minutes, somebody else is coming on for our next recording. That's the only reason. Otherwise, we'll talk.
Okay, got it.
And also because we're boring the hell out of Laila. So
sorry, and I'm holding my tongue because I do want to ask another thing. Mike brought this up that if you, Laila, if someone rates something a 4, do you think that means they didn't like it? What do you?
Yeah,
I would say yes.
I wouldn't think that they liked it.
So let's just clarify what's the cutoff? Less than 5?
I think anything less than 5, you didn't like it very much.
Yeah, because I think Ryan rated something a 4 once.
Yes, and I said I enjoyed it. What about if somebody said, I actually kind of enjoyed this show, but objectively I would give it a 4? That's okay. That's fair.
No,
Laila's on Team
That was
Josh
my
on
point.
this
That's
one.
not me tearing the show apart. I love the show.
She's on your side on this one. Okay, you win this round, but next time you come on, we're
I'm just joshing you, kid.
Yep.
I'm kidding you, Josh.
Speaking of which, that was very good. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Only Murders in the Building on Hulu, entitled True Crime. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode of your own volition?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was poor. I was very poor on this first episode. But I will say that they did leave us with some pretty tantalizing cliffhangers. And so, but I still wouldn't watch the first. No, I would say no still.
Well, you tease. Laila, would you watch the second?
Yes, I would. I watch the second. Yes. I think it was funny, and I think that they did, between the three characters and also the murder in general, left a lot to that I would come back and try and see what happens.
The plot thickens. What about you, Josh?
Well, when the show first launched on Hulu, they put 3 episodes out at once. And, if you don't do anything, you just go right into the second one. So it was very easy for me to watch the first 3 when it premiered. And it's like, there's no 4th one? All right, I have to wait a week. And I waited.
But did you watch it?
Yeah, I've seen everything.
Oh, that's a Patrick Stewart line. Good knowledge. I've seen everything from his own sketch comedy. Okay, well,
it's
that's
actually
good to
from
know.
Ricky Gervais' show called Extras.
It's funny. Check it out if you haven't already. And I've
WTF
seen everything.
Extras.
WTF Extra. That's great. I'll tell you that I'm on the fence with this one. Honestly, I'm on the fence because it was fine. It was cool. It was okay, but it didn't like blow me away. I think it did enough though to pique my interest into being open to watching the second. So it's a yes from me. I'm not going to make any demands.
Wait a minute. So the question isn't, are you open to watching the second? The question is, would you, of your own volition, go and put the second episode on?
I think I might. Now, remember, 80 to 90% of the yes, I would watch the second. I don't end up actually watching the second. I would, but I have not yet. Michael, you're probably more like 50 or 60% of the ones that you say that you would.
Yeah, I say yes more. So I think my percentage is probably lower because like there's so many shows that we review in a year.
I'm saying like 50 or 60% of the times that you say you would, you actually do it. For me, it's only like 10 or 20% of the times that I say I would, that I actually would do it, or that I actually do it. But yeah, I feel like this thing did enough, and I don't know if I will, but I would. And that's about it. I think that it introduced some interesting storylines. The subtle, acting was fun. It was interesting. It was cool. Whatever. No big deal. Anyway, that's about it for us. If you'd like us to review a show, just say WTF or type WTF in the comments below. And the show, please remember to like and subscribe. Tell us what you thought of this show. Tell us if we're wrong or right, or if you agree, or with whom you agree. And check out Laila and Josh. You can find their information in the description box below. Believe that. And until next time, let me just say that this podcast was cool, not just because of the subject matter, but because of the mysteries behind the people within the podcast.
This podcast was rare because for once I did not like the show and Ryan did. And the guests like the show too. So I'm the odd one out this time.
See?
My turn? It's my turn now?
Yes.
I'll say this podcast actually had lots of twists and turns, I will say.
Yeah, this podcast had some false guesses, like detectives on a show.
Okay, he's giving us hints. All right, everybody, while you chew on that and while you tell us if you agree or disagree with us in the comments, just remember to come back next time. We'll see you soon. And don't forget what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Always loves to remind you to go register to be an organ donor at Donate Life so that other people besides myself and Selena Gomez can get organ transplants. So please don't forget to do that. You're not going to use your organs when you're dead. Don't be shady. And finally, I like to say that not forget to watch the first of things.